Hello and welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. Oh, I have been so looking forward to meeting today's guest. It's Dana Newman from Wanted Adventure. Dana is an American living in Munich, Germany, my old neck of the woods, and she's married to a German. I've been following her YouTube channel, Wanted Adventure, for a few years now. This channel is all about the many differences between American and German culture and her observations and insights. And it's really funny and humorous, but she's covering so many topics. And trust me when I say that I've learned an awful lot about my passport country from her videos that I didn't know before. A big part of her videos is about learning German and the German language in general, and how frustrating, fascinating, and just interesting it's been for her to learn it. In fact, Dana has written a book about learning German, and it's called You Go Me on the Cookie, Learning Deutsch, mein abenteuerlicher Weg. This is all about, so You Go Me on the Cookie is a direct translation of a German expression, and we'll get to talk about that in our conversation. The book is such a great read. I laughed out loud several times, and I also had to really think about my own language and how it doesn't make sense. It's a really good read, especially for German native speakers and for those who've learned German. It's at the moment it's only published in German. And yeah, I'll put all the links on how to get a copy in the show notes. And of course, we talk about the book in our conversation. But we also talk about her whole expat journey and what brought her to Munich and how she met her future husband. So let's hear Dana's story. Welcome, Dana, to Transcontinental Overload.
Thank you so much, Steph.
I've been so excited about having you here. First, because I've been a big fan of your YouTube channel, Wanted Adventure, for quite a long time now. It's been going for a few years, and I love it. It's great, and I've put all the links in the show notes. But also because you live in Munich, my hometown. So when I watch your videos and you explain something or you talk about a place that you've been to, I'm like, yeah, I know, it's familiar. So I love that. So it's extra special.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much for having me. I just realized, though, I said your name, Steph, and I didn't ask you if you pronounce it Steph or Steph or...
Oh my God. You know, I have so many names.
Okay.
Because Steph, I'm so used to that because I've lived in English speaking countries for over 20 years now. So Steph is what that's kind of me. But Germans don't say, it's like they say Steff, but they don't. They say Steffi normally. But then some English speakers call me Steffi. So I will, answer to everything. I'm Stephanie. Okay. I'm whatever you want to choose.
Okay.
But then talking about names, so you are Dana, you're not Dana. So that, which I guess gives us a hint to what your family's history is and your origins, because usually in the US, and you are American, the pronunciation is Dana.
Yes. And my whole life, that's what I was called. I mean, I always corrected people because I grew up learning that my name is Dana. Mm-hmm. And learning that my heritage is Czech and learning that's why my name is pronounced Dana. So I knew that. And so my whole life I've been correcting people. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's not Dana. It's Dana. On the first day of school, going down the roll like Dana. No, it's not Dana. It's Dana. Oh, okay. And then when I moved to Europe, so first I moved to Prague in the Czech Republic, I thought that people would pronounce my name Dana, like correctly. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't account for is that they knew I was American. And so a lot of times people here were like, wait a second. Mm-hmm. We're not going to make this mistake and call her Dana. We know she's American. So said, so hi, Dana.
So you had to do a double.
Yeah.
So your heritage is Czech, and
yes.
You've lived in Germany for quite a few years now, haven't you?
Yeah.
But before that, you were in Prague, as you mentioned. So how did all that happen?
Okay. So, yes, it's a long story. I'll try to make it short and then you
Oh,
can
don't worry
ask
about it.
questions if you would like.
Yes.
So, my heritage on my mom's side is Czech,
Mhm.
and all my life I learned about it and I was really curious about it. And when I graduated from university, I felt this kind of push or pull
Mhm.
or whatever I wanted an adventure. That's where the name of my YouTube channel came from. I wanted an adventure,
Mhm.
and I decided to move to Prague,
Mhm.
and I wanted to, yeah, kind of discover the country of where my family comes from. And so I moved to Prague, and I thought I would probably settle down there for a little while. I really didn't have any concrete
Did you
plans.
have family there? Were there people
I
to stay with or
I had
get to know?
family that I didn't know.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I didn't stay with them. I moved to Prague and I was pretty much on my own.
Mhm.
But then I did meet up with my relatives, which is a whole other story in and of itself. It was really great to meet them, but also very interesting because I didn't speak Czech when I moved there and they
Mhm.
didn't really speak English. So there was a language barrier there.
Yeah.
Um, my mom, she grew up speaking Czech,
Mhm.
but she thought, well, why would Dana need Czech? I
So many
mean,
immigrants. Yes, absolutely. It's like there's no point. There's only a few people speaking it, and
yeah.
yeah.
And then I was like, Mom, why don't I speak Czech? And it's a really hard language.
Yeah.
I started learning it when I was living in Prague, and
Mhm.
whew, it is really hard.
It's
But
beautiful though.
it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I went to Prague when I was 18 and absolutely fell in love with Prague. And I decided on the spot that I was going to have to live there and study Czech and everything. It didn't happen. People
Oh,
happened,
yeah.
other people, boyfriends, whatever, and I didn't end up doing that. But it had such to this day, I hear the word Prague, and I just kind of feel that magical.
Mm,
Uh, oh, so
yeah.
yeah, I should go back.
I love Munich. I
Mhm.
love Munich, but I'm sorry, Prague is my
Has your
favorite
heart?
city in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where I just am I just felt at
Yeah.
home there. I didn't know anyone. I didn't speak the language. Of course, the language sounded familiar to me because I had grown up
Yes.
hearing it,
Mhm.
but I couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
But I just, yeah, there's something about Prague. For me, it always has the magic. Every time I
Mhm.
go back, I've gone back lots of times, and
Yeah.
for
And
me, it's still
you're not
there.
that far from it. So it's like you can get there from Munich quite easily. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's
So,
good.
speaking of Munich, how did I end
Yeah.
up here? So, I lived in Prague and I thought maybe I would stay there for a little bit. And the long story short of that is that a few months into moving to Prague, I ended up coming to Munich for a week. And on the first day of being here in Munich, I met my now husband in an Irish pub in
Oh, as you
Munich.
do.
Yes. So then Stefan and I started dating long distance, and about a year after moving to Europe, um, I decided to move to Munich.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So was it kind of love at first sight kind of
it
thing?
was. Yeah, it was. I mean,
So tell us about that.
I say that I
Yeah.
decided to
Mhm.
move to Munich after a year, but actually I moved to Munich after about a year. I
Mhm.
decided many months before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was that meeting? Just tell us about that I'm just imagining, visiting Munich. Yeah, let's go to the Irish pub. Were you with a group of friends?
I was all
And
alone.
oh, wow. So
All
you
alone. Yeah. I was all alone in Munich. I
Uh-huh.
actually got sent to Munich
Mhm.
because I was here doing my visa paperwork for the Czech Republic. So I was sent to
Okay.
Munich because
How
of the Czech
come? Is
consulate. They
okay.
just the people who were
Mhm.
helping me with my paperwork picked Munich. I don't
Oh,
know why. They
okay.
said, Donna, you're going to Munich.
Ooh, it was
So
fate. I love it.
yes. And I was actually like, oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Munich? I mean, I couldn't I maybe go to Budapest or like,
had you been to Germany before? Was that your first time?
Well, now that I live in Germany, I feel bad saying this, but I had been to Dresden and I was like, well, I don't know. When I first moved abroad, I wanted to like, quote unquote, check off countries. Like I wanted to go to a different country than I had ever been to. And I had been to Dresden. So in my mind, I was like, okay,
Germany's done.
I've been, quote unquote, been to Germany, even though obviously Dresden and Munich are completely different. But so, and so I was going all by myself. And I thought maybe I would just hang out in the hotel or something. Like, I don't know. It was really cold. It was February. I just, as much as I loved traveling, I didn't really feel like going to Munich. It was so cold. And I'm from Florida. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
But also being on your own, it's not like it's kind of different, I guess. In the summer, we go to a place, you kind of feel like, okay, there's people outside.
But I guess I think it was also, I mean, I moved to Europe on my own. So I was used to being on my own. But I think at this point, I was also kind of tired of being on my own. And now I was going to another city. Anyway, I wasn't so excited about going to Munich. But I went to Munich and I went to the downtown city center and loved it. I mean, beautiful, lovely city. And so I spent the whole day exploring Munich and just kind of getting lost. I didn't really know where I was going. I was just getting lost. And eventually I stumbled upon an Irish pub and they weren't open yet. But I said, okay, it would be cool if I made some friends here. I mean, I'm here for a week. It would be cool.
Yeah, just get talking to some people.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Irish pub, English speakers, right?
This is the American thing as well. You're like, you could go anywhere, just strike up a conversation, have, feel like you're not on your own. And then you say your goodbye and leave.
Exactly.
And no harm done.
So but the Irish pub wasn't open yet. And so I committed it to my memory. I was like, okay, you will remember where this Irish pub is. And I'm not very good with directions. So I wasn't really believing I'd remember where it was. I was like, okay, remember. And then I kept exploring. And somehow, by some miracle, I did remember that evening where the Irish pub was. So I went back to the Irish pub and I sat down at the bar and I got a drink and I got something to eat and I ate my food and drank my drink very slowly and just waited to see if I made some friends. And after a couple hours, I decided to leave and I packed up all my stuff, put my big coat on, which was not big enough. I was still very cold. I had like 4 layers on. I was so cold. So I packed everything up and I started to leave. And as I was heading for the door, I said, let's just turn back around and have one more look just to see if I make a friend.
So basically you were there for 2 hours and no one was talking to you.
I talked to some people, but it wasn't, there was no friendship. It was just, I don't know. Nice, but there was no friendship that it led to. And so then I looked back over the bar, over the whole place, the whole pub, and my eyes met the eyes of another person across the bar. And it was Stefan. And it looked like I had just come in because I had all my coat and everything on. So I smiled at him. And for this also, long story short, he offered me a seat and I said yes. And
you stayed.
Now we're married. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so it was the same for him too. So he just happened to look your direction and you look at him and you smile. I mean, that's a big one because as you also, you've done videos about this and Germans and the whole eye contact thing. And people don't necessarily smile at each other, like a big full on smile straight away. That's a big thing for Germans, I think, in terms of...
Now that you mention it, he has said to me all the time, like, I looked over and I saw you standing there smiling at me. And exactly.
No one does that. That's unusual. That's like, ooh, makes you, yes. Oh, wow. Oh, what a beautiful story.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And so then did that kind of, so then you said you started dating and you went back to Prague, came back to Munich, and did he go and see you in Prague as well?
Exactly. Yeah. So when I left Munich at the end of the week, he said, I will come see you in Prague. And I thought, okay,
Yeah.
probably not. Like, I wasn't guessing he would really come to Prague. And then a few weeks later, he was in Prague, and we started going back and forth between Prague and Munich.
And then you decided to
move to Munich,
not go back to the States or settle in Prague, and then move to Munich. Oh, beautiful. Exactly. And that was how long ago?
That was, so I moved to Prague 2008, and then I finally settled in Germany 2010. Okay. But between that, going back to the US, and you know how it is, you like hop back and forth.
Yes, and you need to kind of tie up some loose ends and do things like that, and explain also to your family, hey, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, I'm guessing with having roots in Europe, it wasn't that much of a surprise.
But they thought I would be back. So I actually made a video with my mom and dad. I was really happy that they talked on camera about it. They thought I would be back. Like, they thought, okay, she'll be there for a few weeks, maybe a couple months. And then, probably more, a couple months, but then she'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah. And your parents, I mean, obviously now it's been 10 years, 10 years plus. Did they come and see you? I mean, they must love that opportunity to come and visit.
They love it. They absolutely love it. They visited me in Prague. They visited me here in Germany. Yeah. They miss me. I miss them. But
I know what it's like. It's the distance. It's not like you can just hop on a plane for the weekend. It's it's a lot involved in planning that kind of thing, especially this last year.
Yeah.
So what about language learning? So you've been learning Czech in Prague?
Yeah.
And then did you just say, okay, well, that was that with Czech. I better learn German.
Pretty much. I put away the Czech books and switched to German. I started learning German when I was living in Prague, getting ready to move there. And Czech and German are both hard languages.
Not languages I'd want to learn from scratch. And this is probably a good point to mention your book. I'm almost finished with it, and I have been laughing out loud because it's just for a German native speaker, it's such a unique perspective. So tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, so my book is called You Go Me on the Cookie. Maybe you recognize this. What is it in German?
One of those wonderful German expressions that don't make any sense. Du gehst mir auf den Keks is, you're annoying. You're like, but which is, there's no sense at all. And there's so many German expressions that don't make any sense. But as a German native speaker, you grow up saying these things and you don't think about it. Exactly. And then your book explains all these situations where you're like, what the hell does this mean and why? And as a German, you're like, I have no idea.
So for me, I am really fascinated by languages. And so German has been a difficult language to learn, but I think luckily, I guess, I'm fascinated by languages. So even when it has been really hard, I've also kind of enjoyed it. I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it. I have definitely enjoyed learning German. I really love the German language, but especially at the beginning, there were some painful moments, as I talk about in the book, where I literally sat there crying in my textbook because I was just
sorry.
So frustrated. It's okay.
I apologize for the German language.
I was just so frustrated. And I think I wanted so badly to learn it. Like I just really, really, really wanted to be fluent in German. And so it was those two things coming together, like frustration that I didn't get it and really wanting to be fluent. So, but I have loved learning German, and it has been so much fun exploring the language. And so in the book, I write about it, like my love for the German language, and also the tricky bits, the frustrating bits. And the book is in German, and I hope that with the book it would open up a new perspective to German speakers to see their language, or also for people who have also learned German as a foreign language. They could maybe read the book and think like, oh yes, I relate to that.
Exactly. Why are things like, why is that rule there and then it's broken? And what? Yeah, because that's the weird thing. And you mentioned this in the book, how Germany is perceived as very rule oriented and very everything is done a certain way. And then there are these things that just don't make any sense. And you ask a German, maybe your husband, who you say was very involved, but couldn't really help you.
No. And that's where I realized that a lot of my questions don't have easy answers, because the same questions that I pose in the book, a lot of them I posed to Stefan, for example, or my other German friends and family. And they were also like, oh yeah, I hadn't noticed that. Or with Stefan, that was one of the things, was I wanted to know why. Why is it like this? Why is it like that? And he usually couldn't tell me. The answer was just, it just is, which is a very unsatisfying answer. Although that would probably be, I mean, I did work as an English teacher, so now I have more answers for English questions. Like I have gotten to know my own language really what's the English word I'm looking for here? Really deeply, deeply.
Yeah.
Like also from a rules perspective. But I think usually as a native speaker, the answer is usually it just is.
Yeah.
Like that's just how we say
how
it.
it's the language has developed, and that's what we say. And that's but the frustrating thing about that is, as a native speaker, you have that instinct for this. That's right. And you can't explain it, but you know it sounds right. But when you learn the language, you don't have that instinct.
No.
And then it's like, why do you say daddy das and not die der das? And those kind of things. And
exactly.
What is the same with the English language? And I read this somewhere, and I don't know where to find it now, but it's the big yellow house. Why is it not the yellow big house? That kind of thing. But you have maybe 3 or 4 adjectives, and there is a certain order, and
there is an order.
English speaker will be like, yeah, that's the order, and that's because that's the order. And as a learner of the language, you're like, but why isn't it switched around? And it's like, it's exactly the same things.
Exactly.
And English has so many exceptions too. But I think the tricky thing is, and I've learned as a learner of English, English is you learn it very quickly, or you get to a point where you can have a conversation quite quickly, and you feel confident, and you can just add on to it. And then as you get better at it, and as you kind of deepen your language skills, then it becomes harder, and then you realize all the exceptions and everything. But that you get to a level where you can have a conversation quite quickly. And in German, it's almost the opposite. It's almost like there's no way you can have a conversation with someone after a couple of months of German. It's just not possible. But once you're past a certain level, then it kind of makes sense, and then it becomes easier. And so it's a completely different learning experience.
Just the fact that with English, when you conjugate verbs, it's like I drive, you drive, we drive, they drive. He, she, it drives. That's it. That's the only difference. Just the he, she, it, and drives with an S. Whereas in German, right there, already starting there. German, it's different.
So it's like you want to get going, and then you have to stop in your tracks instantly.
Yeah.
And that's so frustrating. So I've always said I'm so glad I want to learn it.
But then I also really have loved getting to know just how German works
Mhm.
and the beauty of the German language
Yes.
as well. I love
Mhm.
these compound words and that you could just make them up. You can just make them up.
And
How
yes.
cool is that?
And you can also mix the order in a sentence and it still makes sense. And it's just kind of more poetic this way or that. And there's all these options. And it's why it's like poetry, German poetry is beautiful. And, the German philosophers expressing certain things in a way that
Yeah.
you'd need twice the amount of words in English. And there are these gorgeous words that just don't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite word?
I have a million favorite words and always being added to it. So Nacktschnecke is for me a great one.
Yeah.
Like naked snail. That's so amazing. I just want to be there. I just wish I had been in the room when that word was created. Like, okay, we've got a Schnecke. What should we call this one?
Yeah.
Well, it's not wearing any clothes. It's naked. Like, how? That's amazing. Or Staubsauger for vacuum. It sucks dust. What should we call it? How about dust sucker?
Yeah.
These are just so good.
Yeah.
They're just unbelievable.
And like words for emotions too, and a state of mind. But I mean, I've always been fascinated in any language, and that you can research it on the internet, all the words that only exist in certain languages.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, isn't it amazing? And what it tells you about the people and the mentality. And that's, I think, to me, that's always the most fascinating thing about a language, where you look at how it's structured, and some words just don't exist elsewhere.
Yeah.
So how was learning German? Obviously, so you moved to Munich and you're with this German man, and then you meet his family. Tell us a little bit about the early days of you, because you talk a little bit about that in your book as well, and going to these parties you're invited to, like barbecues, like Grillabend and that kind of thing, but you don't understand the language. And how was that for you? Do you have any stories?
I've got a good story. This isn't really language related, but so for example, Stefan's birthday in the US. You've been living in the US. Maybe you know at this point, birthday parties, you have cake. Yeah, it's a thing. You go to a birthday party in the US, there's going to be cake.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a birthday party, you serve your guests cake.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So Stefan was having a birthday party here in Germany, and I was invited. I was there for the whole day, and I knew that later on in the evening, his friends would be arriving, and his mom made a cake. So I thought this cake was for the birthday party later that evening. Now, before moving to Germany, I did not know about this wonderful thing called afternoon Kaffee und Kuchen, the coffee and cake in the afternoon.
Which is it's a wonderful thing.
Yes. Now it seems obvious that 3 p.m. is the perfect time for coffee and cake.
Yep.
Like, very obvious. But at the time, I did not realize that. So it was to my shock and horror that in the afternoon, his family cut into his birthday cake and served it. And they asked me, like, would you like a piece? And I was like, just a very small one, because I wanted to make sure there was still cake for the party. This would be weird, serving a half-eaten cake, but I was like, we can do it. We can sort of carve it together, maybe. So just a small piece. So we ate the cake, and I was very concerned. And
so there was no other cake.
Then afterwards, they were like, I think I'll have another piece. I was like, you can't have another piece.
Well, we gotta eat.
There will be no cake for the party.
No.
So we ate most of the cake in the afternoon. And then I started asking Stefan, like, Stefan, do you think we should go to the store? What? Why? Why would we go to the store? I was like, well, maybe we can just get, like, a frozen cake or something, like, or some cookies, or I don't know, something cake-like. We could get those little, like how the bakeries have those little pieces of cake. We can get, 10 of them, put them together, make a cake. And he was just like, no, Dana, I don't know why we would need to do that, but we don't need to. So, okay, if you say so. So the guests start arriving, and I know there's no cake. And I assume they're expecting cake for after dinner. So, okay, let's pause there for a second. They're here for a grill party, a cookout, and the guests arrive, and there are some chips. And so while we're waiting for the food, I think, let's put the chips on the table. To me, that seems like what you should do with chips. So I start bringing the bowls of chips out, and Stefan asked me, Dana, where are you going with those? And I'm like, this is obvious, right? I will put the snacks out for people to munch on. Why would you do that? Why did we buy snacks if not for people to eat? And Stefan was like, those are for after dinner. I'm like, after dinner? No, the cake is supposed to be after dinner, which we don't have. So he takes the
totally
chips.
Stressed out.
I'm so stressed.
Oh my
so
God.
He takes the chips and puts them down. And I'm like, wow, this is not very friendly. We're not offering the guests anything to munch on while they wait for the food. So whatever, though, like, it's his party. So then we have dinner, and I was really thinking to myself, who would want to eat chips after dinner? It never occurred to me to have the snacks, the chips, after dinner. So after dinner, though, he put the chips out. I thought they would sit there. They were gone in a minute. We had to refill the chips. Nobody was expecting cake. I had like some little chocolates, and I ate them after dinner because I was like, this is a birthday party. I need something sweet after dinner. So I ate the chocolates. I offered other people chocolates. Nobody wanted them. So I sat there eating the chocolate, eating the chocolate.
How can they not eat chocolate? I mean, that's very,
I don't know.
That's strange. I don't think my friends would do that.
Well, they were more interested in the chips, I guess.
So funny. Yeah.
So that's when I learned that the cake is eaten before the party, and the chips are eaten after the meal.
It's so funny just thinking about that. Hadn't even occurred to me. I've lived outside of Germany for so long now, and I lived in the UK, where cake is a very big part of the birthday as well. And it's like children at parties they'll get a piece of cake in their party bags when they go home.
Oh,
like literally
it wrapped up.
It's like this is baffling to me when you'd have chips and all that stuff for the kids. And then you'd have cake. And you'd cut every child a slice, but some kids would just be running around playing. And then you would make sure that in addition to that, they would have a piece. And you just wrap it in like a paper napkin. And so by the time it got home, it was inedible. Yeah. It didn't make any sense. But that's an English thing. It's a lot of things that don't make sense. It's like you just have to do it, but it doesn't actually make sense. Because, you don't want to eat, squashed up cake at the but it was a big part of a party, so that's funny. Also, did you say happy birthday before the day? Did you learn
I made that mistake. Have I learned my lesson about that? Yes, I have had to learn that lesson several times over. Oh yes. So for any listeners who aren't familiar with the German birthday customs,
Germans are very superstitious.
Do not wish happy birthday before the birthday. It's like counting your chickens before they've hatched. So you have to wait until the actual birthday. And then I had to learn it a second time, or multiple times, because sometimes I forgot. It's just such common habit. Like I just forgot. But I thought I also didn't know about this celebrating into the birthday thing. So here in Germany, it's quite common that you have your party on the night before your birthday, and then everyone gets together and you stay up till midnight, and then you celebrate into the birthday. So I was invited to one of these, And I thought, okay, this is the birthday party. I get that it's the night before the birthday, but this is the party. So I arrived at the party and immediately hugged my friend, my German friend, and said, "Happy birthday." She went,
Did they?
no,
Yes,
no.
it's the face, it's the
Yeah.
pain. Like,
How could
you've
you
just
do
committed
that?
the biggest crime.
Yes. And
Do
I
not
said, but this
mention the
is your
birthday.
party. She
Yeah.
said, it doesn't matter that this is the party. You have to
Yes.
wait till midnight. And I was like, oh my goodness, midnight is
Mhm.
many hours away. I don't know if I will be here at midnight, because that's another thing.
Yeah.
In the US, I don't know about where you live, but the clubs where I am from closed at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Here, some clubs are just getting started at 2
Mhm.
or 3 in the morning. So
It's there's a strange kind of we've had like New Year's dinner with friends who went home before midnight.
yeah.
And we were like, isn't the whole point of New Year's to stay up until midnight and wish each other a happy new year? But it wasn't it I that was weird, but maybe it was us, maybe they just they were like,
Oh no.
but but the German, that thing with the birthday, and I really enjoy that here now, that someone will maybe bring a cake to work and say, hey, it's my birthday on Thursday and here's cake for everyone because I'm not here on Thursday, and then you can say happy birthday for Thursday, and it's so nice. And I really, it's like I've had to learn to let go of that superstition. So I do not stick to that. I'm not the something bad's gonna happen. So I've learned that, and oh my God, I'm so much more relaxed now about.
But for that,
Mhm.
if your friends take you out for your birthday, they pay for you on your birthday.
Mhm.
Whereas here in Germany, it's expected for the birthday
To
person
bring
to at
something
least
and yes,
to
buy
like
around.
buy a
Mhm.
round of drinks, or
Yeah.
sometimes I've even heard pay for the whole meal, everything, the whole
Oh,
thing. I'm like, I can't
okay.
have a party. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, that's kind of takes the whole fun out of being the birthday person who gets
Yeah.
treated. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's some, it's, I guess you have plenty more stories like that.
Oh, yeah, so many. Or like, for example, I have another one. I don't think Stefan really, really believed me when I told him that we didn't really have to take our shoes off in my house. I don't think he really believed that my parents let me walk around the house with my shoes on. I think he
Hmm.
thought I was
Hmm.
exaggerating. I don't know. Until the first time that he came back with me to America. That was his first time in the US. He came back with me, and this was his first time with such a long flight, and this was very overwhelming and
Yes.
exciting and so much. And we get to my parents' home, and they walk in the door. Mom, Dad, I walk in the door, and then Stefan walks in the door, and we all just sort of walked in with our shoes and
Hmm.
kept walking, because where we were living didn't this particular place didn't really have like mm, a place to take off your shoes. You walked in and you were kind of like right there
Hmm.
in the home. So most of us, unless our shoes were completely totally caked in mud, you just
Hmm.
walk in, go to your room, and take your shoes off there. And he came in and immediately just stopped right at the front door and took off his shoes. And my dad turns around and goes, Stefan, you can leave your shoes on. You don't have to take them off. Like, and he was like,
It's almost
really? No,
yeah.
no, no. It's okay. It's okay. And he took them off and then carried them to the bedroom.
It's funny. I've heard it's almost rude to do that, to take your shoes off when you go into someone's house where you haven't been before. It's like I've had people say to me, it's like, yeah, that's just weird. It's a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's kind of nice. And I mean, there are other cultures in the world where you're expected to take you to not even bring your shoes into the house. So yeah, we can all learn from each other. And
Yeah, for me, that's like living here in Germany, I have found it absolutely fascinating to learn about the cultural differences. And I spend a lot of time on my YouTube channel talking about these cultural differences. I think it's really really interesting to see how things that you might think are the same, like for example, windows. I made a video about the German windows,
Yes.
these amazing German windows. And it's like windows are something that I think people often think are probably the same everywhere. Like, really, how innovative can you get with windows? Oh, in Germany, they have gotten so innovative with windows. I absolutely love them. And when I made this video and looked in the comments, I saw some Germans like, wait, but you mean to tell me that in the US, they don't have these windows? What? So it's like these things that just seem like quote unquote normal everyday things, but they are different. And I find that so fascinating.
And it's those
wonderful
little things in your daily life that you don't necessarily think are different.
Yeah.
So in terms of your relationship with your husband, would you say, I mean, as you were dating, what were the biggest differences from what you were used to in the States? And were there any things that where he was like, huh, what, because I know dating in the US is quite different to going out with someone in Germany.
Yeah. Let me think. Some of the things, I feel like it's sometimes hard for me to pick apart what things were different because he's German and I'm American, or just him and me.
Yeah.
And then also with me living abroad, it was like getting used to the culture shock.
Yeah. So it could have been different had he come to the States.
Yeah. So one thing that I felt was im Vergleich. Was ist im Vergleich? In comparison. So in comparison with when I moved, or no, you would just say compared to when I moved to Prague alone, when I moved to Munich, it was very different because in Prague, I was alone. And when I moved to Munich, I had a German boyfriend, and that did bring with it some advantages, some perks, of course. He was really helpful in helping me get to know the city and the culture.
And how things are done, bureaucracy and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man, with bureaucracy, that was so helpful. So helpful. Times a million helpful. But with some things, it was also a challenge because he had never lived abroad. And so I felt like he didn't understand the culture shock I was experiencing. I felt like he didn't understand when I was shocked by something or confused by something. For him, it was just normal. Whereas in Prague, a lot of my close friends were also not from the Czech Republic. So when I experienced something surprising, I could go to them and say, oh my God, have you experienced this? And they were like, yes, I had this funny experience.
Yeah.
Whereas when I experienced something surprising or challenging or shocking in Germany, and I went to him and was like, Stefan, this thing happened. He was like, well, of course.
That's how it happens.
Right. And neither one of us could really foresee when something shocking was going to happen or when there was going to be a miscommunication because of the language or because of the culture. So like, for example, just even false friends, like the word eventually and eventuel. We ran into a situation with these words having no idea that they were false friends.
Yes.
We were talking about if we wanted to have dinner or not. And because also here in Bavaria, the grocery stores close at 8 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to have dinner and you need to go to the store, you kind of have to make that decision. You can't.
And if it's a Saturday, then you really have to go because on Sunday, all the stores are closed.
Exactly.
You cannot get food.
Right. So this was the discussion. He was like, Dana, do you want to have dinner tonight or should we just kind of like snack? And I said, yes, I want dinner. Eventually. And for the like native English speakers, or for anybody who knows what eventually means, that means like, yeah, I definitely want dinner. I just don't know when.
At some point later, but definitely.
Right. But definitely dinner. And so I was really surprised when Stefan came back and said, well, I need to know if you want dinner because we have to go to the store. And to that I said, yes, eventually. What I did not know was that in German, there is the word eventuell, which basically means maybe. So I was sitting there saying, yes, I want dinner, maybe. Mm-hmm. And he was like, that's
not good enough. Is it a yes or a no?
Yes. So there were always these things. And also just like little things, like when he asked me if I wanted something to drink and I said, yes, water. And he handed me a bottle of water and I took a big swig and then started coughing because it was bubbly water, which I was not expecting to be handed at 8 a.m. Like first thing, wake up, boom, bubbly water. Like,
yeah, I've converted my husband to that, and he now has that at any time of day.
Love it. Love bubbly
having grown
water.
up with every household has at least 2 or 3 different types of bubbly water, and all families are very loyal to whatever bubbly water they choose.
That's true. I have noticed that.
It's a thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you'd go somewhere and they'd only have the one that you don't like so much. And yeah. If it was always that family, no, I'll ask for just tap water.
I'm sorry. While we're here on this, can I please give my bubbly water rant? What is with the middle bubbly? Come on. That just tastes like somebody took normal bubbly water and left it sitting out on the counter for 4 hours. I'm not into the middle bubbly water.
But
it's going to be bubbles.
But some
people love it.
Some people are very sensitive, and they will. It's like even the water here. We've had people like, oh, that's a bit too much for me. They're too many. That's too bubbly for me. Be like, well, like you said, I'm very much in the. It's either bubbles or no bubbles.
Yes,
I do not
bubbles
do
or no bubbles.
Yes, it's like but there's so many differences in German bubble. Oh God,
we could have a whole podcast.
People listening to this are going to be like, I will never go to Germany. That sounds like a completely nutty place.
But now I love bubbly water. Now, absolutely, yes. I really love it.
But yeah, it's a big cultural thing. And again, something you're not aware of unless you leave Germany.
Yeah. Or like, for example, when Stefan said to me that he wanted ice. He wanted ice, and he wanted to know if I wanted ice. And this was random, like just randomly. We were walking through Prague, beautiful, sunny, lovely day. And then randomly he looks at me, Dana, I want an ice. Do you want ice? No, thanks. What am I going to do with some ice? So he went into the store, and I thought he was going to come back with a cup full of ice, so ice cubes
to keep you cool or something.
I guess. And then he came back out with an ice cream, and I was like, what did you do with that ice cream?
Yeah,
I want ice cream. And he's like, I asked you if you want ice.
Yeah, false friend again.
Right. So there were just so many things that you didn't know when they were going to come or in what form. You also sometimes we just kept living life and didn't know we had just had a misunderstanding until months later or something. Like, I can't think of a good example now, but sometimes even years later that I finally realized when I started learning German, just a few months later, but then I was like, oh, wow, that's a false friend. And I definitely said this and this and this.
Yes. And then it makes sense all of a sudden. And you think, oh, but I mean, I still experience that here too, that sometimes it's just, and you think, and then you realize that you were wrong. Yeah. So that's it. I think it's just anyone who lives outside of their home country, outside of, and it's like a different culture, different language. It's just something that happens. But what I love is that all these things, and sometimes they're more painful than other times, those incidents, But it's funny, and if you can laugh about it and learn from it, I think it's just so nice because it opens up your own just view of things, and you're like, yeah, there's different ways of looking at things. And I think that
Yeah.
awareness is just so great because it makes you much more understanding of like people's own difficulties with things, and whether it's other immigrants or visitors, or just that's why they think like that. And I love that because it's just, and I mean I can see it now with, like I said, with my kids having all these different influences. They just have that knowledge that there are all these different ways of doing things. so they go and they just accept it.
Yeah, and that was something with Stefan that I felt at the beginning, was that because he had never lived abroad,
Mhm.
I just felt like what's a good example? What about food? So living in Germany, it took me a while to stop trying to recreate American foods.
Mhm.
And at the beginning with Stefan, sometimes I would try to tell him like, no, there's this ingredient. It's called this and this. And he'd go to the store and bring something different back, like brown sugar. Have you had this brown sugar thing in the US? Have you gotten to know brown sugar? So
Yes.
in the US, brown sugar, I learned living here in Germany, is sugar with molasses.
Yes.
That is brown sugar. And so when I wanted it for I think some cookies or a cake or something, I said to Stefan, can you please get brown sugar from the store? I said, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find brown sugar. And he said, of course there's browner Zucker. Of course.
It's
And I
not the
said,
same
no, I
thing.
really, yeah. And so that was like, I
Yeah.
tried to tell him like, no, it's not the same thing. And he's like, but yes, it's browner Zucker. And then he brought browner Zucker home from the store and showed it to me. I said, no, that's not brown sugar. And there was just this, like, he had no idea that in America, brown sugar was different. And I had no idea that in Germany, they don't have brown sugar.
Yeah.
And that's been just one little tiny thing that's been so interesting and has meant so much to me, to have my eyes opened to the fact that there are different sugars. Like growing up in the US, that it just never occurred to me to think about different sugars. It just didn't cross
Yeah.
my mind
No,
to
and why
think
would
about.
it? Exactly.
Right.
It's yeah, baking, I think, and cooking. That's such a good topic. And like you said, trying to recreate is ultimately frustrating.
Yes.
Even with like
Yes.
flour and trying to make, I mean, the amount of Germans in the US trying to bake German bread,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole, there's
Yeah.
websites dedicated to that. And because if you don't get the right flour, you just cannot recreate something. And
Yeah.
so kind of trying to open yourself up to the new flavors and the new dishes and
Yeah.
embracing that. And then, probably you gorge yourself on your favorite foods when you come to Florida, and then you just kind of
Yes.
stock up on everything.
Exactly. But yeah, it was like
Mhm.
when I tried to recreate American dishes here in Germany, it was just so disappointing
Mhm.
because they tasted kind of in the right direction, sort of,
Mhm.
but not quite. And so it was more disappointing than just not having it. It's okay, just don't
Yeah.
have it.
And it's so frustrating when you want to cook something for your friends and you want to be like, this is an authentic, and then it's just
Yeah.
not really the real thing. And yeah.
But so for Stefan, that was like a big turning point kind of when he came with me to the US
Uh-huh.
and he got to experience my culture.
Mhm.
I think he thought that he knew my culture because he had seen it in so many movies and TV shows and all
Yes.
kinds of pop culture. So I think he thought he kind of knew where I was
Mhm.
from, but when he actually came with me to the US and ate the foods that I had told him about and saw brown sugar in
Yes.
real life in the grocery store and got to see all the things I had been telling him
Yeah.
about, then when we were back in Germany together again, it was easier. We
Mhm.
had things that we could reference. He now understood small talk and what American small talk looks like. Like when I told him that there wasn't very much small talk, he didn't know any other option. So
yeah, and I think it's in any relationship, it always helps if you have had exposure to each other's culture and country. And yeah, of course, it's not always possible to live in each other's countries. And sometimes people meet in a third country and they don't even, so then they have to deal with three cultures. And but in some ways that is then easier. There's a lot of advantages when it comes to that. So I'm guessing he's learned a lot about your culture just by being with you, and being more open-minded when it comes to certain things. But if I asked him now, what would he say is the most German thing about you?
So I already had an idea of what his answer would be to this, but I asked him anyway, just to see.
Yeah.
And his answer lined up with what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's so funny.
And that is that I have become more direct. So in Germany, I would like to say people are a tad bit more direct, which is a very indirect way of saying they're direct.
They're bloody rude.
Yes. But like as an American, I'm not direct. So I say like they're a bit direct. Germans are direct. There, I've said it. And living here, I have become more direct. And that's the thing. So when he said to me, the directness, I said to him, I quoted it, I have it written down. I said, but I'm not German direct. And he said, yeah, but you're not American polite anymore. That was his response. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
So you've learned to just say what you think without that layer of, how would you say? Do you have an example?
Yeah. So I have come to realize that emails don't always need some small talk at the beginning. You can say, hi, so-and-so, get to the point. Like you can do that. And I now do that. I don't have to give backstory about what I did on the weekend and ask about what they did on the weekend. And I don't have to do all of that, a paragraph of small talk before the email. So that has really made life very nice and very easy. Like just... get to the point. But in the US, sometimes I have been too direct. So Stefan and I have noticed that when he flies to the US, he feels like a tourist there. So when he gets there, he kind of like flips his switch from German to American, and he knows in America you make small talk in these circumstances, and you're not so direct in these circumstances. Whereas I feel at home in America and in Germany. So it's our theory that what happens is when I go back to the US, I don't feel like a tourist. So I don't change who I am. Like when I travel and I go to other countries, I know I'm a tourist and I try, and I try to like, be polite and do, what is done in those countries. But when I fly to America, I don't feel like a tourist. So I just kind of, I am me. And so we've noticed sometimes when I have just walked up to the cashier at an expo, at a place where you would normally, hi, how are you? Good, how are you? How's the expo going? I hope you're having a nice day. And I've just walked up, handed the person the thing I want to get, and they've said like, hi. And I'm like confused, hi. And then they gave me like, I just handed them the money. That's what I did. I just handed them the money and I didn't say anything. And Stefan and one of my American friends, they were both like, Dana, you have to say something.
Yeah.
And so they stepped in and started making small talk for me. And then I was like, oh, right. Right.
I know
Whoopsie.
exactly what you mean, because I feel the same. When I go to Germany now, I am the person who will try and make small talk with the cashier. But I am also the person who, when someone is very direct, like, just says something like, no, don't do that, or just tells your kid off
Yeah.
for doing something. Because I mean, Germans they don't they don't shy away from correcting other people's children when they feel the need. I really flinch now when that kind of thing happens, and I feel that they're being rude, or just I just can't take it anymore. So I have absorbed my surroundings more. So I'm all that cushioning that goes on, and so when it's not there, I really feel it, and I really have to remind myself that that's just, they're not being rude. It's the way, it's just things are done differently. But I really cringe sometimes, and so it's really funny because that's exactly the opposite. Obviously, but it's the same.
And the thing
you feel at home.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel at home. And so, I have definitely made some faux pas now in the US being too direct. And I spent the first however much time in Germany thinking that if I just got better German, then the cashiers at the supermarket would suddenly open up and start having lots of small talk with me.
No.
And then I learned
never gonna happen.
Not my German. No. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, thank you so much, Dana. That was so much fun. I know we could probably go on forever and and compare notes, but thank you for taking
this
the time.
Was so lovely. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. This was really, really nice. Really fun.
So that was my conversation with Dana. That was a lot of fun. I noticed, though, while I was editing it, that my accent is all over the place. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing it left, right, and center. I guess it's time I had a British native speaker on as a guest, just to get me back on track. So if there are any volunteers, or if you know someone who'd be good, let me know. Yikes. But I also found recently that I have trouble speaking German. I did a podcast interview in German a few days ago, and I mean, I haven't listened to it yet, but I kind of feel like I sounded a bit funny. I'm not used to speaking a lot of German these days, not in a professional context anyway, and it certainly felt a little bit strange. Well, we'll see. I'm a bit nervous. But back to Dana. I'm already looking forward to her next videos. Right now she has a couple of new ones out. One is in English, 7 questions I have for my fellow Americans. And one in German, 7 Fragen, die ich an Deutsche habe. They are really funny and very insightful. True Dana style. Make sure you check out her YouTube channel, Wanted Adventure, and honestly, just get her book. It's widely available, and I'm sure if your local bookstore doesn't stock it, they can order it for you. It's a real eye-opener for us Germans. And that's it from me for today. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the warmer temperatures and the fact that in some places the lockdown restrictions are easing. But still play it safe, please, because we all want a good summer, don't we? See you next time.